I stand inside the home of my childhood, feeling like a stranger after 8 years of absence. The gold pendant resting at my throat quivers lightly against my skin as I take in the familiar Christmas ornaments, the mingling scent of pine and roasting turkey filling the air. Nothing has changed, the same china cabinet, the same family photographs on the mantel, dominated by Merrick and Clayton's faces. The dining room table stretches out ahead of me, tense as a battlefield. It's time we talk about the future of more manufacturing, my father declares, raising his glass. His voice carries that same commanding authority that once echoed through my upbringing. As I near retirement, I've made decisions regarding the company's leadership. My brother sits straighter, exchanging quick, calculating glances. Mother smooths her napkin, eyes fixed on her plate. Merrick will become CEO, and Clayton will serve as COO. Father's gaze slides past me, locking on his sons. The ownership will be split equally between them. The Moore legacy continues through my boys. A hush falls over the room. I sense eyes flicking toward me and away almost instantly. My water glass grows slick beneath my tightening fingers. And Arletta? My mother's voice cuts the silence, fragile as a sparrow. Father clears his throat. Arletta has chosen her own path. He doesn't meet my eyes. The tech industry tinkering with gadgets. My knuckles whiten around the glass. 8 years ago, I would have lowered my gaze, swallowed the dismissal. 8 years and billions of dollars later, I am surprisingly composed. Understood. I reply, my voice steady. Father nods, satisfied with my apparent compliance. My mind drifts back to the day I graduated with honors in computer science. I stood in this same dining room, diploma in hand, explaining my startup idea. Neural networks could transform medical diagnostics, I had said, eyes bright with possibility. Father had laughed. Sweetheart, that's just playing with gadgets. Leave the real business to your brothers. Merrick and Clayton had nodded, their state school business degrees evidently worth more than my MIT education. Find a good husband, Mother suggested, patting my hand. Someone successful. That night, I left, applied for every loan I could find, worked 3 jobs until the first investor believed in me. Now Father lifts his fork, as if the decision has been fully sealed. We'll draft the paperwork after the holidays. Of course, Arletta, you could still marry someone successful. There it is again, the expected path for a woman. Anyone? Anyone? The table falls silent. Mother stares down at her plate. Clayton shifts in his seat uneasy. I continue eating, each bite deliberate. The trembling in my hand subsides. I set my fork down carefully, the silver clicking softly against the fine china. Thank you for clarifying my place, I say, meeting Father's gaze directly. It's useful when things are stated so plainly. Father blinks, unused to being challenged. Now, Arletta. No, please. I lift my hand slightly. You've made your position clear. I appreciate the honesty. Merrick and Clayton exchange uneasy glances. They've always been the golden sons, praised for mediocrity, while my achievements were minimized. Neither speaks for me now. Their silence makes them complicit. Mother's eyes flick between us. She has never opposed Father in 40 years of marriage. She won't start now, not even for her only daughter. Sitting here at the table, surrounded by family yet completely alone, I realize my worth has always been judged differently. My brother's value is assumed, mine is conditional. The insight settles in my chest, not as pain but as clarity. Father continues outlining the transition. The company I modernized during college summers, the company whose outdated manufacturing processes I could have transformed, the company that will never belong to me. I take another sip of water, my reflection rippling in the crystal. Tomorrow, everything will shift. Tonight, I let them believe they hold all the power. The pieces are in place, they just don't know the game has begun. Dessert sits half-eaten on Limoges china when my 15-year-old nephew Nico gasps. His fingers fumble with his tablet, almost dropping it as he stares at the screen, mouth agape. Holy! He catches himself sneaking a glance at his grandmother. And Arletta, you're on the Forbes list. The room freezes instantly. Merrick's fork clinks sharply against his plate. Clayton's wineglass pauses midair. My mother's hand shoots to her throat. Let me see that. Father's voice breaks the silence as he reaches for the tablet. Nico tilts it toward the table instead. My face stares back at us, next to the figure that has just exploded our Christmas dinner. $2.8 billion. Neuromedicines, acquired for $4.5 billion. Father reads the words aloud, his tone hollow. Revolutionary neural network technology expected to transform neurological diagnostics worldwide. 8 years of struggle, distilled into a headline they can finally grasp. Well, Mother smooths her napkin. This is unexpected. We need to talk. Father pushes back from the table. In the living room. Now. I follow him, wine glass in hand. Mother hurries behind us, while my brothers exchange loaded looks. The living room walls are lined with decades of family portraits. Merrick's graduation. Clayton's wedding. My brothers flanking Father on hunting trips and industry gatherings. My absence in these frames has never felt so deliberate. Father stays standing as I sink into the sofa. Power dynamics unchanged from my childhood. How long were you planning to keep this from us? His voice trembles, not with pride but accusation. I wasn't hiding anything. I sip my wine. The acquisition was announced 3 months ago. You could have called. Mother perches on the edge of an armchair, smaller than I remember. Like you called me? The words slip out before I can soften them. Father's jaw tightens. I never thought you'd actually succeed with that computer nonsense. I was protecting you from disappointment. The truth finally, after years of it's just a phase, and leave the business to your brothers. Merrick clears his throat from the doorway. I should have told you. Arletta came to me for seed money when she started. I turned her down because Dad said we shouldn't encourage unrealistic dreams. My chest tightens. You knew how much I needed that loan. Your brother was following my advice. Father interrupts. What about my letters? I ask Mother. I wrote every Christmas for 3 years. Wrote. Her eyes drop to her lap. Gordon thought it best not to respond until you came to your senses. I intercepted them, she whispers. I'm sorry, Arletta. The sting of betrayal cuts sharp. Even after all these years, 3 layers deep. Father, brother, mother, each one slicing further. Your success must be exaggerated, Father says, waving a dismissive hand. These tech valuations are smoke and mirrors. They'll revise that number down in a few months. Clayton joins us, hands in his pockets. Dad's right. These tech bubbles burst all the time. Actually, Merrick interrupts, his voice suddenly warm. We always knew you had potential, Arletta. Remember when I helped you with your computer class in high school? I stare at him. You copied my homework and got us both detention. I've been telling everyone how proud we are of you, Mother says, rewriting history before my eyes. I knew you'd succeed, just not to this extent. Father nods, shifting smoothly in his chair. The drive to excel, it's all you. You got that from me, he says, a proud smirk in his tone. His boldness leaves me breathless. 8 years of silence have morphed into a lifetime of imagined encouragement. Remember how I supported your college applications? Mother asks, eyes sparkling with fabricated memories. And I always said tech was the future, Father adds. Their frantic attempts to claim credit for my achievements would be comical, if a part of me didn't still crave their approval. That small, wounded fragment that constantly seeks validation almost embraces their rewritten past. For a fleeting moment, I'm tempted to accept their false version, just to feel included as family. My phone vibrates with a message. Miss Dobbins, my high school computer science teacher, just read the Forbes article. I always knew you'd change the world, Arletta. So proud of the girl who stayed after class to learn Python while everyone else went home. Her simple words wash over me like a cool, refreshing wave. She saw me. She believed. No need for revisionist history. Watching my family scramble to reconstruct our past, I wonder if I should confront their lies or let them believe what they want. Would speaking the truth heal, or would it just tear open wounds better left closed? No answers come easily, but for the first time since arriving, I recognize that my own judgment matters more than theirs. The next morning, after the article is published, I listen from the kitchen as my father's voice thunders from his study. The door is ajar just enough for his words to travel down the hall. Yes, Charles, she finally made it. All that guidance I gave her about persistence, look where it got her. His laughter grates against my nerves. I always told her to think bigger. I clutched the countertop, knuckles turning white. 8 years of silence, and now he's rewriting our history for my uncle. The same uncle who once patted my head at graduation and said, "At least you're pretty enough to marry well." My phone buzzes again. Cousin Rachel wants funding for her skincare line. Aunt Patricia asks for a small loan for her son's college tuition. Suddenly, the family tree remembers I exist, its branches stretching toward my wallet, not my heart. Mrs. Moore. A woman's voice pulls me from my thoughts. The kitchen helper gestures toward the landline. The Nebraska Chronicle is on the line. They want to schedule an interview about raising a billionaire. A bitter laugh escapes me. The woman looks at me curiously. Tell them we're unavailable. I say, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. Later, alone in my childhood bedroom, I stare at the ceiling where the glow-in-the-dark stars I stuck up at 12 still cling stubbornly. The memory hits me like icy water. 3 jobs. The campus cafeteria at dawn, the library help desk between classes, the 24-hour diner until midnight, hands permanently scented with disinfectant and fries. When father refused to fund MIT, claiming computer science was a waste of money, I survived on sheer determination and 4 hours of sleep. I remember silently crying in my dorm room, 3 years into my startup, when our first investor backed out. The pitch deck spread across my bed, covered in red-marked rejections. That night, I almost quit. Then the email arrived that changed everything. A father in Detroit, whose 8-year-old daughter had been misdiagnosed 3 times. My neural network identified what specialists had missed. A rare, treatable form of epilepsy. "You gave my daughter her life back," he wrote. I printed the email and still carry the folded paper in my wallet. Edges soften from handling. A soft knock pulls me from my reverie. I wipe away a surprising moisture from my eyes. "Aunt Arletta?" A small voice calls. "Can I come in?" Lacey stands in the doorway, clutching a laptop to her chest. At 13, she has Merrick's height but none of his swagger. "My computer science teacher assigned this project, and I thought maybe," she looks down, "I want to be like you, not like them." For the first time since arriving, my smile is real, reaching my eyes as warmth spreads through me. "Come here," I say, patting the bed beside me. "Let's see what you've got." Later, I stand outside my father's wood-paneled office. The room is frozen in time. Models of agricultural equipment line the shelves. Awards from the Manufacturing Association hang on the walls. The scent of leather and Old Spice lingers. Gordon sits behind his mahogany desk, reading glasses perched on his nose as he reviews papers. He seems smaller somehow, less formidable than I remember. "You wanted to see me?" I ask, voice even. He removes his glasses, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "I've been thinking about what happened at dinner the other night." I cross my arms, waiting. "I just wanted to protect you from failure, Arletta," he says softly. "The tech world is brutal. 9 out of 10 startups fail. I didn't want you to get hurt." The familiar justification sparks something inside me. Years of dismissal crystallize into clarity. "You weren't protecting me," I say, calm but firm. "You were silencing me." His eyes widen slightly. "Every time I shared an idea, you called it playing with gadgets. When I graduated with honors, you suggested I find a husband instead of building a company. That wasn't protection, it was control." "Now wait a minute. I never needed your permission to succeed, Dad." The realization lifts a weight I didn't know I was carrying. I needed permission only to feel worthy. There's a difference. He stares, mouth half open, speechless. My mind drifts to Miss Dobbins, my high school computer science teacher, who spent countless after-school hours helping me apply for scholarships behind my father's back. "Your mind is exceptional, Arletta," she told me. "Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." While my family saw limits, others saw potential. The contrast is sharper than ever as I stand taller in my father's office than I ever have before. "There's a family dinner tomorrow," I say, moving toward the door. I think it's time everyone heard the real story. Back in my room, I open my laptop and review audio recordings of my father's contradictory statements from the past 2 days. The lies about his support, the revisionist history. Tomorrow will change everything. I placed the files in a folder named Truth and shut my laptop. The next evening, I hear my father calling everyone to the living room from downstairs. As we assemble, he announces, "I'd like to make a toast," just as I step down the stairs, to my accomplished daughter who followed my advice. The crystal glasses collide with a soft chime. I smile silently. Still, I lift my glass, echoing my father's gesture from the previous night. The room grows quiet. My family watches, expressions oscillating between curiosity and unease. To family, I begin, my voice calm, and to Truth, I meet each person's gaze around the table, speaking with deliberate rhythm. 8 years ago, on June 4, 2017, I stood here in this very dining room with my MIT diploma. I explained my idea for a neural network in medical diagnostics. Father shifts uncomfortably in his chair. I continue without hesitation. After being told to seek a good husband instead of pursuing my gadgets, I applied for 23 loans. Every single one was denied. I looked directly at Merrick, including the one I had asked him to co-sign on July 15th. Mother's eyes widen. She hadn't known that. I worked 3 jobs at the same time. Starbucks on Cooper Avenue from 5 a.m. to noon. Tech support at Midwest Data from 1 to 6 p.m. and coding freelance until 2 a.m. I take a sip of water. For 18 months straight, starting November 2019, Dr. Chin became my first investor. By 2022, our platform had diagnosed early-stage neurological conditions in over 4,000 patients. Aunt Patricia whispers to Uncle Ray, "I keep my pace." Last month, Neuromedicines was acquired for $4.5 billion. I set my glass down with a soft clink against the table. Not because I married well. Not because luck favored me. Because I refused to accept the boundaries this room tried to impose on me. Father clears his throat, his face flushed. "Now, Arletta, I've always believed in you in my own way." "Really?" I raise an eyebrow. "You were just so young," he continues, his voice strained. "A woman in tech. I was protecting you from disappointment." "Dad explicitly forbade us from helping you," Merrick blurts out, shocking even himself. He glances at our father, then back at me. "He said if we gave you money or connections, we'd be cut from the will." Clayton's fork clatters against his plate. "Merrick, what are you doing? Is that true?" Mother turns to father, her color draining. "I intercepted your letters because he told me to," she admits, tears forming as she looks at me. "He said letting you fail would teach you to value family more." Aunt Patricia rises abruptly. "Gordon, you told us Arletta refused your help." The room erupts in accusations. Years of carefully maintained family stories unraveling in real time. When Clayton suggests simply moving forward and forgetting the past, I pause. Do I accept this fragile piece for the sake of family harmony? Or insist that the truth be fully acknowledged before any reconciliation? My phone buzzes. Connor's name lights up the screen. My boyfriend of 3 years before I left Nebraska. The one who called my dreams cute but urged me to pursue realistic goals. The text reads, "Saw you in Forbes. Always knew you had potential. Coffee when you're in town?" I show the message to my cousin Trish beside me, who rolls her eyes. I type back, "Thanks, but I prefer to leave the past in the past." I hit send as everyone watches. A small gesture, but it lands. Several family members nod with newfound respect. "You had Thanksgiving dinner with the governor last month," Aunt Patricia says, breaking the uneasy silence. "Your cousin Joanne saw the pictures. The governor's daughter uses our platform at her hospital," I explain. She credits it with saving her father's life after detecting early stroke signs. Father stares at his hands. When he looks up, his eyes glisten. "I was wrong about you," he says, his voice cracking on the last word. The admission lingers in the air. Not an apology, but the closest thing I've ever heard from him. Around the table, expressions shift. Aunt Patricia squeezes my shoulder as she refills her coffee. Uncle Ray asks thoughtful questions about my company. Cousins who barely acknowledged me yesterday now lean in as I speak. "Maybe," I suggest, setting down my napkin, "we should hold a proper family meeting to discuss how we move forward from here." Father nods slowly. "I think that would be appropriate. For the first time in 8 years, there's a chance we'll actually listen to each other." 2 weeks after the dinner confrontation, one Wednesday afternoon, Father leans forward across his mahogany desk, the same desk where he signed countless documents excluding me from the family legacy. The sunlight catches the silver in his hair as he slides a folder toward me with the precision of a chess master. "We've been thinking," he says, his voice unnaturally bright. "More manufacturing should reflect all the children." I open the folder. Inside is a mock-up of new company letterhead. More and daughter manufacturing in glossy navy lettering. My stomach tightens. "We've already printed promotional materials," Merrick adds, pointing to a stack of brochures on the corner of the desk. "The announcement goes out next week." Clayton clears his throat. "The board thinks your profile could attract new investors." He shuffles uncomfortably. "The company could use a cash infusion." "You've done well for yourself," Father says, softening into the tone he once used when urging me to give up my MIT scholarship. "Imagine what your skills and resources could do for the family business." I trace the raised text on the letterhead with my fingertip. After years of being dismissed, they've finally found a use for me: my money, my reputation, my success. All achievements they never contributed to. "I appreciate the thought," I say, closing the folder with a soft click. "Good, good," Father nods, shoulders easing. "We'll schedule the press conference for—" I cut him off. "I didn't say yes." His eyes widen in surprise. "But you said—" I said I appreciated the thought. Which I do. I stand, smoothing my skirt. It's a revealing one. The grandfather clock in the corner punctuates the silence with a slow, heavy tick. Mother shifts uneasily in her chair by the window, her gaze flicking between Father and me, restless and trapped. "I've been thinking too," I say, breaking the quiet, "about legacy and impact." I open my laptop and tilt the screen toward them. On display is a sleek, professional website. At the top, the More Innovation Fund. Beneath it, a banner showing women in hard hats, lab coats, and business attire. "What's this?" Father leans forward, eyes narrowing. "I'm establishing a $10 million endowment for women in STEM and manufacturing, specifically aimed at Nebraska entrepreneurs." I scroll down to reveal the application portal. We're already accepting submissions for the first round of grants. Clayton's mouth opens and closes silently. Merritt grips the edge of the desk. $10 million? Mother murmurs. "To start." I close the laptop. "The companies these women build will transform American manufacturing, creating jobs, innovations, and entirely new markets." "But the family business," Father begins, "will remain exactly what it's always been." I hold his gaze unwaveringly. "Your legacy. I don't need it, Father. I've built my own." A familiar twitch in his jaw betrays his growing frustration. For the first time, I don't feel the reflexive urge to appease him. "Let's discuss this over dinner," Mother suggests, her voice thin with tension. We move to the dining room, the very battlefield where Father first declared my disinheritance. The polished table stretches between us, reflecting the chandelier's light. Crystal glasses scatter rainbows across the tablecloth. Father carves the roast in short, deliberate strokes. "This fund of yours," he says at last, "it's a nice charity project, but real business takes experience." I correct him. "This fund isn't charity. It's investment." Turning toward Mother, who startles at the sudden attention, I continue. "I want you to join the board of directors, Mom." Her carving knife freezes mid-cut. Her water glass pauses halfway to her lips. "Lorraine doesn't know the first thing about business," Father sputters. "She's never worked a day in her life. She raised 3 children while managing this home and supporting your career," I counter. "She managed family finances, organized charitable events, and built community connections that benefited manufacturing for decades." Mother sets her glass down with care. "Gordon always made the big decisions," she says softly. "And how has that worked out for you?" I ask her directly. A flicker of something, fear, curiosity, crosses her face. "The board meets quarterly," I continue. "The first meeting is in February. You'd have a vote on all funding decisions." "She can't possibly," Father begins. "I accept," Mother says firmly. Her words drop into the room like stones into still water. Father's fork clatters against his plate. "Lorraine," he warns, voice low. Mother straightens. It's time I had a voice too, Gordon, she says. The rest of dinner passes in tense silence. Merritt studies his plate, while Clayton attempts small talk that quickly fizzles. Mother eats with an appetite I haven't seen in years, her movements confident and decisive. Weeks later, word reaches me through business channels. Father has begun therapy. Hanover, a specialist in controlling behavior. Clayton mentions it casually on our monthly video call, as if reporting, people can change, his eyes avoiding mine. At least he adds, that's what Dad's learning. I think of Mother preparing for her first board meeting, calling me with questions about Robert's Rules of Order. I think of our first grant recipient, a woman developing biodegradable packaging, crying when we called with the news. The day before I leave San Francisco for a tech conference in Boston, Father calls. His voice is different, less certain, more human. Arletta, he says, stumbling over my name after years of minimal use. Will you come back next Christmas? The question hangs, delicate and weighted with unspoken history. I glance at my office calendar, already marked with next year's plans. I'll think about it, I tell him, and for the first time I mean it. A year later, at Christmas time, I breathe in the crisp air as I arrive at the familiar driveway, fully myself. Through the windshield, I see them gathered on the porch, not stiff and formal, but smiling genuinely, arms open. Mother waves enthusiastically, a gesture that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. Aunt Arletta. Lacey races down the steps, tablet clutched to her chest. At 15, she is all limbs and fierce intelligence. I need to show you something. Inside, the house feels transformed. The furniture and decorations are the same, yet the atmosphere is lighter, freer, unburdened by old resentments. I wrote this program myself, Lacey whispers, pulling me aside. Her Python code is clumsy in spots, brilliant in others. Mom said computers are for boys, but I showed her your TED Talk on neural networks. I squeeze her shoulder. Keep going. The world needs your mind. My brothers greet me with handshakes that turn into awkward hugs. Clayton's eyes carry an apology still forming. Merritt mentions a manufacturing issue his team can't solve, asking my input without his old defensiveness. When dinner is served, I sit at the same table where everything broke, and where it began to mend. Father stands at the head, carving the turkey with steady hands. His hair has silvered, his posture is less rigid. Before we eat, he raises his glass. I want to toast my children, each successful in their own way. His eyes meet mine directly. I'm proud of all of you. A year ago, these words would have been the air I needed to breathe. Now I receive them with a smile, warm but no longer essential. The neural interface your company developed for stroke patients, Mother says between bites. The Times called it revolutionary. I explain the technology, neither shrinking nor overstating my role. My voice carries the authority of someone who knows her worth. The doorbell chimes. I rise. That's my guest. Miss Dobbins enters, bearing wine and a lifetime of believing in students when no one else would. Her gray hair is a sleek bob. Her posture remains impeccably straight at 70. You remember Miss Dobbins, I say. Everyone does. She taught 3 generations of Moors, surviving my father's school board budget cuts. Later, glasses refilled, I stand. To those who see our potential when we can't see it ourselves. Miss Dobbins blinks, glasses fogging slightly. Father nods, humble. 6 months later, spring sunlight fills my San Francisco office as I adjust the camera. 30 teenage girls from rural Nebraska stare back during our virtual coding workshop, faces bright with curiosity. Never let anyone tell you what you can't build. I tell them, spotting Lacey helping a girl debug her code. Nico, my brother's son, peeks into my office. The investors are here, Aunt Arletta, he says. His summer internship has already taught him more than 4 years of business school taught my brothers. On my desk, a new family portrait from Easter. Mother stands tall, confident, her board role evident in her posture. Father stands beside me, hand lightly resting on my shoulder, not above me. As I study the portrait, I wonder, what matters more, being right about the past or opening yourself to a new future? Would you cling to the satisfaction of vindication, or embrace the chance for true change, even if it means letting go of justified resentment?